Hello and welcome to CXO Fireside Chat with Kalpana. Today we have the honor of hosting Madhusudan Warrier, Chief Technology Officer at Mirae Asset Capital. It's a pleasure to have you join us, Madhusudan.
Thank you, Kalpana ji. It's always a pleasure to be associated with CXO TV. So, I have a very good memory and a wonderful platform to share knowledge from the peers as well as from the management at CXO TV itself. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words, sir. So let's start with some exciting discussions. And to begin with it, could you share insights into the evolving landscape of digital transformation within the financial services industry and how organizations are leveraging technology to stay competitive?
If you look at it, the financial services industry over the period of time, you have seen that there has been a shift from what earlier the processes which were being more of manual, there has been a big shift towards digital transformation. And most of the, I'll say, financial intermediaries are focusing on the customer needs and preferences. So if you look at it, the key trends, it includes the use of mobile apps. So you look at any banking, any bank that we see, we are more familiar and we start using the mobile app in much more in and explore the features out there. You look at it, the rise of fintech startups, then there is artificial intelligence which has come in, machine learning, and all of a sudden there has been a growing importance for cybersecurity. The more and more the things are there on the internet, what we see is information security becomes a priority. So I say that basically moving more towards a mobile culture wherein people at the have the flexibility of doing the transaction and doing all the changes that we see. It's disrupting the traditional models, and we see that it's creating opportunities for the fintechs who are trying to become more and more innovative. And the space that we see, it's like it is only going to accelerate, just like all the other technology advancements are happening inside India.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So we can say that technology is really revolutionizing the industry and helping organizations adapt to the changing market dynamics. So we talked about the disruption by fintechs. So, there are traditional banks as well as the NBFCs. So, with the fintechs, you think both of them can coexist and they are complementing each other, or maybe, the traditional banks or NBFCs are facing challenge what kind of challenges they are facing when it comes to business with the fintechs?
Look at it, they have to coexist. Even the traditional banks or traditional services which were there, I don't know if there is any bank who has not moved the digital way. So they have to coexist, and it's only going to be better. The more both the fintechs as well as the financial intermediaries, they work more closely, it will become, we'll see a revolution. What is happening today, we'll see something much better happening in the future.
So there are no challenges being posed by fintechs?
Challenges will not be there in my view. But of course, fintechs, the way they bring and they bring about specialized services. And if a bank is, I'll say if a bank is offering a particular service and a fintech takes it to the next level, the banks will also have to ensure that they provide these specialized services wherein the customers also feel satisfied.
So it's about the partnerships with these fintechs.
Yeah. End of the day, it's the partnership. We have to coexist.
Yeah, sure. So how are financial institutions adopting customer-centric technologies to enhance the overall customer experience and, from personalized services to seamless digital transactions? And then what trends do you see emerging in this domain?
If you look at it, financial institutions, they are adopting customer-centric technologies to enhance the customer experience. Almost every senior leader whom I meet in the various conferences, everybody is focusing on overall customer experience and how they can make it much better. And particularly if you look at it, it's the customer needs and preferences which is being detailed out. What can we do to give them more personalized services? How can we improve the efficiency and the convenience in the entire process, be it banking or onboarding of a client, etc. Then these technologies, if you look at it, they used advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, chatbots, or I'll say mobile and digital platforms, which I just mentioned earlier. So this actually enables the customers to access their accounts and from any device, anywhere and anytime. So this is one big change that we have seen from what we were probably about 10 years back. And by improving this customer experience, what we have seen as financial institutions, the customer experience and the loyalty, that also increases the churn rates and the revenue ultimately, that also goes up on the positive side.
Yeah, sure. So it's more like an exciting time for the financial industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So operational resilience has become a critical consideration, especially in the financial sector. So how do organizations ensure business continuity and mitigate operational risk, particularly in face of unforeseen disruptions or crisis?
Business continuity, it has been there since the last 2 decades, but since there has been digitization or digitalization happening all over, business continuity becomes a very important function inside every business organization. If you look at it, business continuity and operational risk management, it is very crucial so that the financial intermediaries, they can maintain their ability to function during whenever there is an unexpected event or a crisis. So ethical standards and the legal regulation also means like SEBI, RBI, and the exchanges. They mandate that organizations must be having their own business continuity plans, and just having a plan will not do. It should detail out how they are going to do it, how the switchover is going to happen, how will they be testing. So this actually helps in minimizing losses, maintaining the operations, and protecting the customer data. Additionally, most of the organizations, I believe, they conduct risk assessments, establish good response procedures, and also invest in the disaster recovery technology. So this actually helps to minimize the impact of unforeseen disruptions. And by prioritizing the business continuity and risk management, the organizations, there comes about a resilience in these organizations so that they can provide value to their customers as well as the stakeholders. So you name any of the financial intermediaries, the larger ones, you'll see that they have a very good, robust business continuity and a disaster recovery plan in place.
Yes, sure. So how are data analytics and artificial intelligence transforming the decision-making processes in financial services, and what impact do you foresee these technologies having on risk management, customer insights, and overall business strategies?
Look at it, data analytics and artificial intelligence, the focus is the output. How can it help in transforming the decision-making process in the financial services? So they provide more accurate and efficient analysis of large amounts of data. Earlier, when we used to deal with terabytes of data, it was a lot of queries had to be written manually, etc., to get some meaningful analysis out of it. So these are the technologies that we have right now for artificial intelligence. These technologies basically allow us to gain much more deeper insights into the customer behavior, help us with the market trends and risks. So this ultimately helps in better decision making. And I've had experiences wherein artificial intelligence algorithms can automate some routine processes. So especially in the back office operations, what used to manually take about 6 to 7 hours, I've seen AI processes actually bringing it down up to about 5 minutes. So that is the way the trend is. And when we look at our own processes also, we focus on what can be automated and how we can bring artificial intelligence into it.
Yeah, sure. So when we say artificial intelligence and data analytics, I think there is a lot of partnerships happening with the fintechs. When it comes to, especially in the cases of the traditional financial institutions. So how fintech is reshaping the overall financial service sector, and have you seen any notable innovations which are influencing traditional financial institutions, particularly in terms of customer engagement and operational efficiency?
In the recent years, if you see fintech companies, they have introduced a lot of notable innovations, which is gradually you see that it is shaping the financial industry itself. So what started off as something, there will be a competitor who makes it at a much more better variant, and ultimately the industry gains because they get a good specialized product. So one such innovation, as I mentioned earlier, is the use of mobile and digital banking platforms. This has really made it very easy for the customer to access the banking services. Earlier, for a particular service, if we had to go to a branch or if the representative had to come and visit us, that is no longer required. Everything is there at the fingertip, and that too using our own mobile device. Uh, we just mentioned about artificial intelligence and machine learning also. So, uh, I was interacting with a financial advisor, and they had used these tools like artificial intelligence and machine learning for the financial planning and for understanding the risk. What is my perspective? Where do I would like to invest my money? How would I see myself as 4 or 5 years down the line? So this actually helps in financial planning, the risk assessment, then of course in fraud detection and the customer service. So these services, I believe, they have enabled the financial institutions to improve their customer engagement as well as make their operations more efficient. So what I've been reading is also banks and credit unions, they are now leveraging data analytics and algorithms to personalize their services to their customers. Of course, automation and robotics, they are being used for the back office operations to streamline processes and reduce costs. We just mentioned about it some time back. And in my own organization also, we are looking at the processes, what can be automated so that the manual processes which used to run, how can we make it, or semi-automatic processes, how can we make it more efficient? So this will always remain the focus, and fintechs will reshape and continue to reshape the sector.
Yeah. So, partnering with the fintechs, what kind of challenges basically in terms of data we face, while partnering with the fintechs, there has to be some kind of hygiene which has to be maintained, or maybe, some measures, I would say rather, that has to be taken. So would you like to highlight some of the best practices, or maybe in terms of SLAs, what kind of SLAs has to be in place, while marrying with this fintechs, I would say rather.
Yeah. So whenever we enter into a partnership, the scope of the services that has to be very, very clear. So if the scope is very clear and the boundaries beyond which both the entities are going to work, that has to be made very clear. Of course, then SLAs and agreements are there in place which defines the scope, etc. But what we as the owners of the data, what we have to ensure is the access to that particular data to any third party who's helping us out, that has to be in a controlled manner. So the checks and balances that we put when he accesses that particular data, that has to be in place. For example, I will not be giving any read or rights to access a critical database, and wherein the third party can see what my data is. So checks and controls, like how can I encrypt the data to give only what is required to these third parties, so that they can basis the data elements, they can come back to us with a solution, and once the solution comes, looking at the data and churning it, it can be done. So at our end itself. So these are checks and controls we have to build so that to ensure that the customer information, it is not at all compromised.
So when we say checks and controls, so data encryption is one thing that you highlighted. Are there any other things, very important things, which you think are the kind of highlights in terms of data safety? Yeah.
Yeah. Other thing is basically we also educate not only our own team members and the entire organization, but even the third-party vendor partners whom we have. The access on how they are going to come inside our network, that is also done in a very safe and secure manner. So the moment somebody comes inside my network, and if it's a third party, there is a monitoring mechanism as to what exactly he is doing. So checks and controls have to be built around these parameters and also. So this is what we do to ensure that our data, it remains safe and secure. And plus, there are a lot of tools, etc., and the access rights which are given which limits what a third party can do to our particular data and our database.
Sure. So
before something goes live, there are strict checks for any code. If I have to deploy a code, etc., in my production or my staging environment, there are checks and controls to ensure that there is nothing inside this code that will take my data out.
Yeah, sure. So any specific tools and, to maintain that good security posture in the organization? Or maybe, if you can give some example from Mirae itself, that this is the, current security landscape, and maybe, moving forward, this is what is on agenda to, if we talk about zero trust. So are there any other things you think that could be introduced and are worth considering in terms of data security?
One is selection of the proper firewall. So we do have a very good firewall in place, which ensures that our perimeters are properly secured. Once the firewall is there, once you are there on a cloud, your landing zone, we have architected it in such a way that the boundary, beyond the boundary which is designed, anybody has to come inside that boundary. It is designed in such a way that the accesses in a safe and secure manner. This apart, there is a web access firewall which we have implemented. This ensures that the incoming traffic, that is regulated and monitored. This, of course, then beyond this, there is the antivirus. So we have the best of antiviruses installed in all the systems. Then, especially third-party systems, we do have monitoring softwares which tells us if there is a deviation. If he's supposed to do only X and Y, and if he goes into some social media site. So wherever people access social media sites, we do have softwares in place which tell us what is happening inside an individual system also.
So there are so many softwares available. What is the criteria, that basically you follow to identify that, okay, these are the solutions, the SaaS solutions, especially when it comes to the multi-cloud environment and considering the data security. So whether it is security or even for the other operational, I would say the technologies, what are the best practices or what exactly criteria you follow to identify the solutions, that these are the solutions, and also not just the solutions, I would say the technology partners?
Primarily, what is my objective? I look at it. So when I'm looking at a particular solution, so if I have to ensure that there is access to my particular VPN or virtual private network. So if that is my objective, I have to ensure that what are the checks and controls that I can bring in, wherein whoever is accessing my virtual private network, it should be simple, flexible, as well as it should be secure. So when we look at solutions, we look at the latest solutions which are there. We talk to our peers also, what is deployed outside in their respective organizations, any challenges that we face. So basis this, then we arrive at a checklist as to what has to be there, what is okay if it can come about 6 months down the line. Basis this, then we invite the vendors. So how we invite the vendors is primarily the known vendors in this particular space and who are there in the top quadrant, in the Gartner quadrant. And we, accordingly, such vendors are invited. We look at a demo first, and basis this demo, what we do next is that the solutions that we like, the top three, we try to engage them to understand whether they have really understood our requirement. Basis that, a small POC is done, and we take about a few test cases. So if we are satisfied with that, a detailed case analysis is being done. And of course, we also have our group, and we share our experiences with the group. And if a group has already implemented a particular solution, we look at that. So ultimately, it's a checklist. The questions are there in front of me. What do I want to address? And basis this, what is the solution giving me? And as far as data security is concerned, there is no compromise. So the best of the solutions have to be in place.
Yes, sure. So how much budget, increase you're witnessing, especially when it comes to data security, the overall security, whether it is information or data security. So say, earlier it was X amount of budget, and now this is the percentage of hike in the budget that you're witnessing year on year.
So year on year, at least I say the next 2 to 3 years, at least there will be a minimum of 20% increase. So along with data security, the next thing is we also invest in cyber insurance also. So I always believe that we are secure only up to this point. If there is some vulnerability which has not been identified till date, and if there is a smart hacker on the other end, there is always a chance that we might get compromised. So we do have other ways also through which any vulnerability or any threat, it can be controlled.
Okay. So cyber insurance looks to be quite an interesting point. Would you like to talk more about it? What exactly is cyber insurance, and how we actually execute cyber insurance, or we implement it?
Cyber insurance is very vast. So basically, most of these insurance service providers, they offer cyber insurance as a product. And they offer, means if you go to them with a proposal, they come that these are the things, it gets covered, etc., etc. And then depending upon how open our environment is, you can choose what all we want, the checks and controls. And then it all depends upon what all you want to ensure. So what happens is, in these cyber insurance, it covers in case of any damage, the monetary loss gets covered, but along with it, the legal expenses also, mean hiring a lawyer, etc., that also gets covered. So a lot of such things are getting covered under cyber insurance, and plus the best practices that the industry also have in ensuring that a cyber safe environment are also shared by these insurance service providers. That's how we deal with cyber insurance.
Okay. So would you like to name some of the insurance companies providing cyber insurance, or maybe exactly, where exactly Mirae is having a cyber insurance?
So there are many providers. New India is there, Tata AIG is there, ICICI Lombard, HDFC Ergo. So these are some of the leading providers in the BFSI. So we have also tied up with some of them.
Okay. So you mean to say that even if there are any incidences of ransomware, so these are the costs are being borne by these cyber insurance companies?
Yes. The costs, so any damage happens and it is proved that it is a damage, then they help us to mitigate that risk. How soon can we recover it back? These are certain advices. And of course, the monetary, if at all there is some loss, there is a procedure on their side also. There is an investigation. And basis that, then they come back to us.
So in straight, I would like to put it like quite straight that paying ransomware is good or bad?
Paying ransomware. it is never good. Anybody tries to bully you or tries to, my view is we should not be paid. So it is better that we keep our checks and controls in balance. Our the processes within an organization, it should be strong enough to ensure that such a thing never happens. So as I was just mentioning some time back, the firewalls, the networks, they have to be so strong that at the entry stage itself, it gets blocked.
Yeah, I mean, in the worst case, say if it gets compromised, the security gets compromised, and we know that, okay, there is data which is quite crucial and critical. So in such incidences, there are companies who are paying ransomwares to protect their database. So I think anyways, even paying ransomware, does it really helps them? As per your, what's your perspective? Like, even after paying ransomware, is it that the data is not getting compromised, or I know it's a whole dark space wherein a lot of things are happening, but you being an expert and already being into this system, so what is your take on this?
The fact that a ransomware has come inside, it's a big eye-opener. So it means that there is something which is getting compromised in my network. So all the focus and attention, in my view, has to go in ensuring that this becomes much more stronger. When it all depends, my personal view is it all depends upon the quality of the data, etc., and how it has been compromised. If we do have adequate backups and adequate data, then we actually need not go back and to the attacker and take that particular data. What is important for an organization is if that data gets leaked, how much impact will it have on the reputation of our organization? So, basis this, calls will have to be taken.
Yeah. So, data backup, what are the best practices when it comes to data backup in terms of, like, if you can give some example from Mirae that these are the practices you are following when it comes to data backup, and which are the best solutions?
For data backup, since we have our critical systems on the cloud facilities itself allow us to back up the data. So tools are being used. There are various tools available in the market like Comwort, etc., and which helps in ensuring that the data in the primary systems it gets replicated in some alternate system also. So we do have tools which are there in place. Some time back we also talked about business continuity. So in this, what happened was the data inside our primary site, it is always getting replicated in the DR. So in case of an unforeseen event, something happens and the primary site is not accessible, it's just a matter of minutes before we can make the disaster site up and run. So most of the financial services organizations, if you see, they do have tools in place. There are good backup solutions available in the market, and which helps to get the entire data not only backed up, but even the restoration happens at a very good speed. And most of the data center service providers with whom I have worked with, whether it's Tata Communications or whether it's Safety or even NetMagic or even AWS, they do have very good tools in place, and which ensures that any time when the data which is backed up is required, it comes out very quickly.
Yeah, sure. Especially if, financial sector is, there is a lot of, it's a regulated sector. So regulatory compliance is paramount concern for the financial sector. So how are organizations leveraging technology to navigate complex regulatory landscapes and ensure adherence to compliance standards, particularly with the evolving nature of regulations? It's ever evolving.
One good thing in our country is the regulations have been really very good. So if you look at it, there is RBI, there is SEBI, then of course in the capital markets industry there are exchanges, and there are self-regulatory bodies also who keep on communicating about the best standards. And as we see over time, organizations, they are relying on technology to navigate complex regulatory landscapes and ensuring compliance with evolving regulation. So one way, the way they do it is they use the regulatory compliance software, and which automates the process of tracking and reporting of the regulatory changes, helping organizations basically to stay up to date with the latest requirements. And we just talked about artificial intelligence. In fact, I was just looking at a tool last week, wherein a tool which is trying to leverage artificial intelligence and machine learning to analyze large amounts of data and identify what are the potential compliance risks and what should be done to quickly address them, and before any issue actually becomes a problem. Then, of course, cloud-based solutions, they are providing organizations the flexibility to quickly scale their compliance efforts in response to the changes in regulatory environment. You see circulars come out, and the regulators, they give a date by which it should be compliant. So organizations have to put the required focus to ensure that they are regulatory compliant.
Yeah, sure. So blockchain has garnered attention for its potential to revolutionize financial transactions. How is the financial service industry exploring the applications of blockchain and distributed ledger technology, and what impact could it have on processes like payments and settlements?
If you look at it, the financial services industry has been exploring the applications for blockchain and DLT in several ways. So if you look at it, payment systems or settlements and identity verification. Blockchain, particularly in my view, it gives transparency, immutability, and security. So it makes it an attractive option for these financial institutions. DLT, what we have seen is it can facilitate faster and much more cost-effective payments by eliminating all the middle layers and the blocks and intermediaries, and thereby automating the complete process. So the accuracy and efficiency of the settlements, if you see, by reducing the risk of errors and fraud, that is minimized to a large extent. And with the widespread adoption of blockchain and DLT in this in the financial services industry, it requires a lot of complete regulatory challenges also, and ensuring interoperability within the various systems. So the potential benefits, despite all these challenges, what I believe is in the financial industry, it is very significant. And end of the day, what I believe is blockchain is there. It's a good technology, but what is the use case for my organization? That has to be understood in detail before we actually start implementing.
Yeah. So do we have adopted blockchain at Mirae?
Currently, no, it is there in pipeline. Because as I said, how am I going to make best use of this technology? Best technologies can be put in place. But then, because it is there in pipeline, we are doing some study.
Sure. So having said that, what are the top priorities over the next 2 to 3 years for Mirae?
The way it is as of date, what we'll be looking at is cloud migration and management. How can we make the entire setup more efficient, scalable, and of course, control the cost. Cybersecurity and data privacy, we just talked about. So with the increasing threats and regulations, how are we going to ensure that sensitive data and applications are protected? Artificial intelligence, it's the buzzword, and machine learning. So how can we use artificial intelligence? What is the use case within our industry and for our customers? How is it going to help us and make it make the customer experience much better? So we are looking at these tools basically, which will help us in decision making, automate tasks, and of course improve the customer experience. One more area which I'm very keenly looking at is Internet of Things, because we have seen that there are multiple devices that get connected, and there are multiple environments also now getting connected. We are talking of multi-cloud, etc. So how can we ensure that this communication is seamless and the IT teams ensure a secure and reliable communication between them? This is something which I'm exploring. So yeah, there is a good use case. We'll be happy to take it further.
Yes, sure. So, as a conclusion, would you like to share the industry outlook for financial services in the coming years? And what key factors do you believe will shape the landscape for organizations operating in this sector?
You look at it, financial services industry, when we started the session, we said that everybody is moving towards digital and digitization. So I see that this will now, the pace will be much more faster. And in the coming years, it will be due to the technology advancements and the changes in consumer behavior. I feel it is going on the positive side. The key factors that will shape the landscape for the organization, it will depend basically on the sector in which we are operating. And then, of course, data security, digital innovation, and regulatory compliance, what we just spoke about, that will be the focus area. So the organizations who prioritize this and will remain adaptable. And of course, everybody will try to look at having a competitive edge in a similar industry. So whoever is the first, they become the leader, and the people who follow, they will try and ensure that the next product which comes out, it is much more better. So there is always what we see, efficiency and specialization will keep coming.
Yeah. So exciting times ahead, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Madhu. And it was truly enriching having such insightful conversations.
Thank you, Kalpana ji. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah. And thanks to all our viewers too. Stay tuned to our social media channels for more exclusive conversations only on CXO TV. Please follow #CXO TV.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.